Somewhere in Africa, about 3.3 million years ago, a small-brained primate picked up a rock, not to throw it, not to show it off, to shape another rock with it, to make something sharper, something useful, something that could kill. That moment, a creature deliberately making a tool to cause harm, had never happened before in the history of life on Earth. And it set in motion a chain of events that would eventually produce nuclear weapons, stealth bombers, and everything in between. The story of weapons is not just the story of war. It's the story of human intelligence, human fear, and our relentless need to be the most dangerous thing in the room. The first weapons weren't made for other humans. They were made for survival. Our earliest ancestors were not apex predators. They were prey. Small, slow, no claws, no venom, no natural armor. On the African savanna, you were food for things far more dangerous than you. The hand axe changed that. Around 1.7 million years ago, Homo erectus developed a teardrop-shaped stone tool, sharp enough to cut through bone and thick hide. It wasn't just a knife, it was the first multi-purpose tool in history. You could use it to butcher an animal, dig roots, scrape a hide, or defend yourself. One object, 100 uses, and for over 1 million years it barely changed. The same basic design used by every human species on Earth for longer than any other tool ever invented. But the real leap came with the spear. The oldest known wooden spears were found in Germany in 1995. Roughly 400,000 years old, carved from spruce trees, balanced like a modern javelin, aerodynamically sound. Whoever made these understood physics without having a word for it. The spear did something no weapon before it had done. It gave humans distance. You no longer had to be next to the thing trying to kill you in order to kill it first. You could hunt a mammoth from 30 feet away. You could defend your group without putting your body directly in danger. Distance changed everything, because distance is safety, and safety is power. Around 70,000 years ago, something shifted. Weapons stopped being just tools for hunting. They became tools for fighting other humans. The archaeological record starts showing something new and disturbing. Human skeletons with wounds caused by other humans. Arrowheads lodged in bone. Skull fractures from blunt force. Evidence of ambush, massacre, organized violence. Why did this happen? The most accepted theory is resources. As human populations grew, groups started competing for the same hunting grounds, the same water sources, the same territory. And the group with better weapons won. Not always, but often enough that it mattered. This created a pressure that never went away. The better your enemy's weapons, the better yours needed to be. An arms race that started 70,000 years ago and has never actually stopped. By 10,000 BCE, the bow and arrow had appeared independently on nearly every continent on Earth. Not because cultures were copying each other, because it was the logical next step. More range, more accuracy, faster reload. A skilled archer could release 12 arrows per minute, each one capable of killing from over 200 yards away. Then came the Bronze Age, around 3000 BCE. For the first time, humans could make weapons from metal. Swords, spear tips, helmets, shields, all suddenly possible. And with them came something new. Professional armies. Not farmers who grabbed spears when the village was attacked. Men whose only job was to train, fight, and kill. War had become an institution. The ancient empires understood something that still holds true today. The civilization with the best weapons sets the rules for everyone else. The Assyrians with their iron weapons conquered the Middle East. The Macedonians with their long spears, like the sarissa, broke every formation they faced. The Romans with their discipline and engineering built roads to move armies faster than any enemy could respond. In each case, the weapon wasn't just iron or wood. It was strategy. It was organization. It was technology. And then in 9th century China, someone mixed charcoal, sulfur, and potassium nitrate. They were trying to make an elixir for immortality. What they made instead was gunpowder, and nothing about warfare or the world was ever the same again. Gunpowder reached Europe by the 13th century. Within 100 years, it had made medieval castles obsolete. Walls that had taken decades to build and had held for centuries could now be reduced to rubble in hours. The entire architecture of power collapsed with them. By the 1400s, cannons were deciding the outcomes of empires. By the 1600s, muskets had replaced swords on every battlefield in Europe. By the 1800s, rifles could fire accurately at 500 yards. The American Civil War killed 620,000 people, more Americans than every other war in U.S. history combined, largely because generals were still using Napoleonic tactics against weapons that had made those tactics suicidal. Technology had outpaced imagination. It always does. In 1945, a single bomb dropped on Hiroshima killed between 70,000 and 80,000 people instantly. A city gone in seconds. 3 days later, it happened again in Nagasaki. The nuclear age didn't just change warfare. It made total war between major powers effectively impossible. Because the logical conclusion of nuclear conflict is the end of human civilization. The weapon had become so powerful that using it meant losing everything. For the first time in history, a weapon existed whose only real purpose was to never be used. Today, there are an estimated 12,500 nuclear warheads on Earth, enough to end human civilization several times over. Meanwhile, drone warfare lets a single operator sitting in a room thousands of miles away end a life with the push of a button. The distance that started with the spear has become absolute. We started with a rock. We shaped it into something sharper to stay alive in a world that was trying to kill us. And every generation after that did the same thing. Made the weapon a little more powerful, a little more precise, a little more capable of ending the thing that threatened them. The threat changed. The predators changed. Eventually, the threat became each other, and we kept making better weapons anyway. Because that's what we've always done. We're very, very good at it. The question we've never quite answered is whether being good at it is the same as being wise.